Time to do a half leg wax. Half leg wax is going to be from the knee all the way down. Some clients will ask you to do the top of their foot or their toes. I will add that in if that's something that they want, but not a lot of people care because they don't have hair on the tops of their foot or the tops of their toes. So it's more of a preference. As a business owner, it's your preference whether you include the knees or not. I will include the knees, especially if there's a lot of hair. Otherwise, it just looks kind of crazy. Most people don't grow too much hair on the tops of their thighs, so half leg is pretty common and one of my more popular services. This client is a regular for a half leg, so it's hard to see the hair like on the leg as is right now. The wax that I'm using is the Derm Wax Naked Elite Shimmer. I do like just the Naked Elite clear one, but they were sold out when I restocked. This one works exactly the same, it's just a little bit more white to it and has a little bit of shimmer. I like this wax because it glides on nice and easy, and I can cover large surface areas with it. I like to lay more than one strip at a time, that way it goes a lot quicker, and then you don't have to sit there and wait for it to dry. I love a film wax for larger areas of the body because it spreads like a soft and comes off like a hard, but it's nice and flexible when it comes off too. These waxes also don't take long to dry, so you can move through your wax pretty quickly. You can see with the half leg wax, I'm really only doing 3 large strips. There was that one in the middle, this one on the side, and one more on the other side. With the way that I created my lip on the wax, I don't need the stick to pull it up. I can literally just pull it up by itself. You can see on the far leg where the wax was because the skin is light. That's because waxing is a form of exfoliation, so there's going to be some dead skin that lives as well. I like to get as much as I can off the front of the leg, kind of moving towards the back of the leg, so that when they do flip over, there's a lot less hair to do. I never require my client to lift their leg up by themselves or hold it or anything like that. Anything I want from my client, I'm pretty much going to do myself. You'll notice I roll the sock down. You can take them off or roll them down, doesn't really matter. But when I'm doing that strip, I want to make sure I'm getting the ankle as well, just getting down as far as possible. So I move the sock so that I don't get any wax and don't have anything in the way. I'm lifting the leg so that I can get a little bit further onto the back of the leg without getting wax on the paper and without making my client move at all. The wax dries pretty quickly, so I can go ahead and put the leg down pretty instantly. You'll see that it looks pretty thin, and this type of wax you can lay on pretty thin. That was not a perfect strip, but that's totally fine. I didn't leave it on there that long, so it came off really nice. Every strip is not going to be perfect. So this way I'm going the opposite direction just to get some of those stubborn hairs. A lot of clients will have ingrown hairs on their legs or just smaller ones that don't want to get picked up, especially if they're an irregular waxer. So going the opposite way just helps with any of those stubborn hairs. These I typically pull just a little bit slower just to make sure I'm getting all of those tiny little hairs. Slow pull helps with those. Now you can see on this leg, now that it's a little bit closer, where the wax was and where it's exfoliated. You see that knee right there. You can do knees during, you can do them last, you can do it however you want. But knees, you do want to go in a different direction. It's not the same as the rest of the leg. Sometimes you will need to go over an area more than once. It's perfectly normal, especially if they're not really doing the aftercare that they need to do to get rid of that dead skin. If they have a lot of dead skin and dryness, that first strip you're going to do is mostly going to pick up that dead skin and not the hair. Me wiping my hand after that pull is just applying pressure and make sure that there's little pain. This client is regular, so she's used to the feeling. Especially as their hair thins out, it's not going to feel as bad as it does the first time. There goes my cleanup strip going the opposite way. I'm pretty much constantly talking during my appointments and talking to my clients. One, to distract them, but also if you're a regular, I see you often and we like to catch up on life. So sometimes if I'm not laying a perfect strip, it's because I'm a little distracted and I'm really into the conversation. It happens more than often, more than not. Alright, so my client slipped over. I guess I didn't get the knee on video. So with the back of the leg, since I've already kind of gone on the sides, I can do a really big strip to cover most of the surface area. One really big one or two pretty big ones. It just depends on how far over you went on the front. It also depends on the surface area of the client. But you can see we're going all the way from the top, all the way down to the ankle. I'm always dumping all the wax off my stick first, using a 90-degree angle to spread the wax to make sure I get a nice even spread and to make my strips nice and wide as well. You can see there's a little bit of leftover wax on the edges, perfectly normal. Oh, my lip did not come out as nice as I wanted it to on that one. Perfectly normal. I still was able to pull it up. There's a few pieces of wax, but with this film wax or hard wax, it's so much easier to get up off the client's skin. But I usually don't do any of the cleanup of leftover wax until I'm all the way done with my client. Once again, dumping and spreading. And there can be overlap with your thin film wax or your hard wax. If you're going over the same area twice, that's totally fine. Disclaimer though, I do apply an oil to all of the areas that I wax, so I'm always cleansing, and then I apply a thin layer of oil when I'm using this thin film wax. Most clients have really dry skin, so this acts as a barrier but helps moisturize the skin so there's less irritation and less pain. So I'm just double checking areas, see if I miss anything. If I feel like I should go over an area again, then I definitely will. So here there was a small, like thin area I didn't get, so might as well go over the whole thing. Just doing the same thing on the opposite side. I will either do opposites or I'll mirror whatever I'm doing, just to make sure that I'm getting everything. I always know what strip I'm going to lay before I even pull the wax from the wax pot. I map it out in my head. Things don't always go according to plan, but for the most part, I've been doing this for a while. After I pulled that last strip, I used that wax strip to get off some of the extra wax. Wax sticks to wax, so it's a good method to use. This one is just a cleanup strip. You can see we're going opposite direction. Nice lip. Nice even strip. I can see where the leftover wax is on there. Once again, using wax to pull those up. If you don't get it up with the wax, you can use your wax stick or you can use oil. There really wasn't that much hair on the back of her leg. A lot of people don't have as much because of the friction from pants, jeans, that kind of thing. There's less hair on the back of the leg, but there's typically more ingrowns in this area. But since she is a regular, like we've done her legs multiple times, a couple weeks apart, her hair is pretty thin now. Another little cleanup strip. Love that I put my hand in the way. Good job. I typically will touch it to see if it's ready, but more often than not, it's ready, so I don't always test it. And once you're done with the back, you are all done with your half leg wax.